Pretty good though, so that was cool.
Hey, welcome to Saturday Evening Chats number 34, part B. So, this is the second half post Chris Chang. So, I am definitely glad he was able to stop in and give us an hour, and the hour went by so quick. Little, I had quite a bit more questions for him.
Yeah, I had a whole list. I was making them as we were going too. I think in total maybe about a dozen, but some were covered somewhat. Some kind of got answered for me, and some I just didn't want to bogart the time. We'll state so.
Yeah, I had a couple more, but at least I got the important question out there.
Yep. So, sorry everyone for not introducing you guys in the last segment, but welcome, Mr. Defense Dad. Thank you for being in both parts, both streams, and thank you again, Mr. Andrew Faulkner, for stopping by on both segments, and Mr. Keith Gregory. Hopefully, we get a few more people out in the crowd. And again, I just want to apologize for not, throwing out and introducing you all while we were doing that part.
Understandable.
Yeah, we were
a little bit different format.
We were definitely hammered on time, and I just can't believe how quick that hour went. So, Mr. Nighthawk Medic, you got anything you want to say since we kind of kept you gagged in the corner?
Nah, I was enjoying listening to the young fella talk. I've literally been interviewing people all day, so it's like, oh, good, I get to sit here and catch my breath.
Yeah, I took a swipe at your knees and you didn't say anything. Oh.
Yeah, I just let it go.
Hopefully he'll come back and join us again. So again, I'll just repeat. I think it was the format was a good thing, and kind of points out your flexibility of abilities in a sense on how to handle a show. So, in my opinion, I think you did a good job.
Yeah, I think you did too.
Thank you, guys. And Mr. Carolina EDC, you do have a link just sent to your inbox if you decide you want to jump on.
I'd like to see members of the panel really turn the difficulty up on Dan next time, though.
I did leave that open, and luckily absolutely no one took that shot. That was a one-time shot right there. You guys had your chance, and I was waiting for Rob. Actually, I was waiting for Rob to say something like "You son of a bitch" for when he said that he carried a 43.
Yeah, it's not that kind of show, man. that's this kind of show. The hell with that shit, but he's still cool.
I had almost threw that out. Hey, 4 out of the 5 people on the panel have a Glock.
Look, Rob, you're wrong.
Don't worry, I was shaking and salivating a little bit, but I let it go.
Start singing "One of These Things Is Not Like the Other."
One of these things is not the same.
But yes. So I do have communications with Mr. Hungry Handgunner out there, and hopefully we will get him on here for kind of a BS / interview.
That would be fun. He's good people.
And I definitely have to thank Mr. Kingpin for throwing out a bunch of links in that last live stream. He always does that in every live stream he is in. So
Kingpin
Yeah.
is a great feller.
And if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not subscribed to Kingpin's channel, you should totally do it. And if you are, go ahead and unsubscribe and resubscribe just so the algorithm triggers him.
I wonder if that actually works.
I don't know. I've never tried it.
Hang on, I'm unsubbing from you right now. So,
He is
Problem
unsubbing from
solved.
everybody on the channel.
Oh man. Good times, good times. Sorry, I'm actually kind of a B- right now. I have been on a range for almost 8 hours today. And it's been heaven, right? But you know how that just wears you out?
Yeah.
Now you've been on a range instructing.
No, there's a local organization, and I'm doing a video on them that does a veterans shoot out here, and it's been shut down because of COVID for a little bit now. But they finally just decided that there was no reason why we should basically give up our right to do things we want to do because the governor smokes crack pipes. And basically, rather than folding to some garbage rules, he just did it. He just went out and hosted the event and ran it. And a butt ton of us showed up, and we had a great time. And it was a big finger to those organizations out there that are not willing to give anybody the finger and to find a way to make their event happen during this crap right now. But more than anything else, it was a really, it was great to get together with a bunch of veterans. We put a lot of rounds downrange, and it was totally worth it.
No, that's cool. Yeah, good time then. So, that's similar to the cars there with Governor Wolf kind of giving him the finger on
Yep.
the event they threw. So,
Yep.
which went off without a hitch, to my knowledge. There wasn't some huge plague afterward or anything like that. So, yeah. Yeah, I think it's strange, but some groups like that or a veteran shoot, you say the hell with it, do it anyway, and they leave you right the hell alone. So
Yeah.
you get 11 people at your house for Thanksgiving, and you might get a SWAT team. So it's kind of strange how it works.
It is strange. I don't know if I would want to be the government official who would come to that today trying to break it up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is it really worth the paycheck in some of these situations? So, or despite that, is it worth the hate later? Especially if it's in your area.
Yep.
People got memories, and they're going to remember that 6 months from now when you got your bad day sitting at the bar trying to get a drink on your way home. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the sheriff out here is up for re-election, so he probably doesn't want none at this point.
Yes.
Well,
So we are joined out in the crowd by Carolina EDC, Mr. K24. It is a good question where Mr. Kingpin is, but
there he is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. If you've never seen veterans receive trigger therapy, to some veterans, that is some of the most useful therapy in the world. And I was sitting there watching guys, just have the time of their lives and to making contacts and getting to know people that served in the same era, because we had guys from Vietnam, Vietnam all through current operations all over the place, and even some National Guard and AGR guys out there and gals. And it was really, when you think about it, one of the things we stand to lose with a Biden administration that actually kind of goes through with what they're talking about is that kind of activity. We were firing SBRs, we were firing suppressed weapons, we were firing some fully automatic weapons, and to include some fully automatic M16s, and those, or M4 carbines rather. Those things are gone under his administration. So it's more is lost than just a pistol brace or whatever else. If this guy gets the run of the land, you lose the ability to conduct those type therapy sessions. There wasn't a person out there whose mindset was, I like to sit in a room and go into a circle and talk to other veterans that way. It was, hey, I like to hobnob a neck and shoot my guns and have a good time. And, this was down in Georgia, and Georgia's kind of the epicenter of that right now. If you're in Georgia, somebody in Georgia, and they are not politically active, now would be a real great time to activate them, not only for the good of Georgia, but also for the rest of the nation.
Exactly. So I know Rob and I were kind of discussing before the beginning of last show and before Mr. Chris jumped in on trying to keep politics out of it, but it was great for him to be the first. Well, he was the first one to bring up any kind of political. I was kind of, I wasn't saying anything about like Biden or Trump or anything, but yeah, he was the first one to throw Biden out there, and it was just awesome to, kind of hear, that he wasn't shy about going after that topic.
Yeah, that was good. I think my intent was I just didn't want to, you to put him in a hard spot in a sense. So that depending on that situation or whatever, things could be an issue. But yeah, basically let him run out if he wants to volunteer information, let him. So I was a little concerned that he said President Biden, because that's a little scary to me, but again,
well,
there and have an argument with him or tell him, you sound like a defeated person already, and that probably wasn't ideal. So
there are realists and idealists, I think.
Yeah, well, the way I see it is, it's not called till it's called. So let's just let's accept the win or defeat when it's actually said and done, and not just go with the flow. Because honestly, I think that's kind of predictive programming in a way where it's just gearing everybody up to fail. So
didn't the U.S. Army seize the database yesterday?
I think so. I see we were joined out there again by Mr. R4 Mississippi Thunder. Thank you again for stopping by. Mr. Guns and Barbecue was at both streams, so thank you again. And of course, Kingpin, one of the great guys out in the YouTube world, who was pretty involved with getting this show going. So I do thank him for his time invested in, and thank you Kingpin, for your comment about good job with Chris today. So if anyone out in the crowd wants to jump on and either have their first time doing live stream or, just BS, say something. I'll throw a link out there.
You better be careful, man. Haven't you learned anything?
Sometimes you just gotta tempt fate.
Your first time can be kind of scary, but it's fun.
Yeah, remember, say something stupid that'll be on the internet forever, like I do all the time.
Hey, don't worry, nobody's listening anyways.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. And Mr. Burnaby Sanchez is out there, and I like his new little channel logo running the Gadsden flag on there. or don't tread on me.
Ah, you had it right the first time.
I know.
It is what it is. You ain't gotta like it.
Yeah,
You
Mr.
ain't gotta hate it.
Drusifer,
It's up to you. So,
Mr. Drusifer is out in the crowd. Welcome.
Say I got
So-
one hanging in my hallway, along with a Second Amendment flag and an American flag, of course, obviously hanging the highest. So, besides the flags I put outside in my porch, and I'm an extremist, racist, whatever the heck they call people now, I guess, because I have those flags.
Oh, they're not saying that anymore, Rob. Now it's a call for unity. We should all remain calm.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What everybody else says it means to me, I got a hard time keeping
Right.
up with. So
Right. No, now it's unity. We should not freak out despite anything that goes on at this point. And we
Okay.
should all
Yeah.
be
Just
Well,
be complacent, right? Be
yeah,
complacent.
that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. They must have
and then you had
up the fluoride treatments, I guess.
There you go.
and then Mr. Fauci the other day, who said, "Just wear the masks, do what you're told." Really? Heil Hitler, I guess.
I wonder,
Yeah.
is he married? Does anybody know, is Fauci married?
Yes, Fauci. I think Fauci is married, which explains his desire to have control over
Power?
something in his life. Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious. I don't know about you guys, but I know if I told my lady just do what you told, I wouldn't be having a very good night.
You clearly have not kept her. Hang on, let me close the door. You clearly have not kept her in line properly.
right.
Well,
let me
it
close the
seems
door
to
before I say that.
kind of one of the American values. You can ask, you can persuade, you can convince, but damn sure don't tell me what I'm doing. That seems to be an issue with a lot of people. So,
Well, back, what was it? Back around April-ish, he went to a baseball game with his wife and somebody else, and he was sitting at the crowd with, they were all three in a row, and he wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh yeah, that picture went viral.
At this point, it doesn't matter until Americans decide that this actually is important enough to do anything about it. They're just going to keep stacking it on. That's why I kind of don't feel like Trump is going to win the election, because the Democrats can't afford for this to come out as a fraud, right? And if they lose the election and this comes out as a fraud, it was a complete another waste of time. So why on earth would they not just follow through and complete it?
So my wife can attest, I refuse to wear face masks, even when there is signs strictly posted that say no face mask, no service. I challenge it and just be like, I'm not wearing a face mask. Now what are you gonna do? I don't say anything, but again, I don't have a face mask anywhere on. I don't have one around my neck. I don't have one hanging under my chin. Nothing like that. It's, here you go. What are you going to do about it? With Walmart, just earlier this week or last week, having a lady here in Southern Oregon arrested and trespassed for refusing to comply. She had a medical situation going on, and she took her mask off to be able to breathe a little better because she was the mask was restricting airflow, and I believe she was asthmatic. And they were like, it doesn't matter. There's zero exceptions. You have to wear a face mask. And then she's like, but I have a doctor's note. And they're like, we're just going to have you trespassed. And then they called the cops on her. So if there wasn't already a nail in the coffin for Walmart, that definitely would have pushed me over the edge. And I definitely will not do another damn bit of business with them.
Can we start with a little bit of logic and an understanding on the concept of being trespassed? You can be trespassed for anything. You're only under arrest if you don't leave. Okay. And so if you're going to make a stand like that, for let's say this is not a medical stand, right? If you're going to make a stand like that, then leave. Okay. So don't stand there. If you stay in protest, you're going to be arrested. Not because you took your mask off, but because you were trespassed legally and you refused to leave.
Well, normally what'll happen, because I have to deal with this
Yep.
often. The police will come, if you refuse to leave, and they'll cite you for trespassing. And laws vary depending on where you're at. And then if you don't leave after that, then they'll arrest you. Or if you come back after being trespassed, then you get arrested. But if you make a stand and they ask you to leave and you don't leave and the cops come, they're still not going to arrest you as long as you're not, resisting from then on.
Right. Like I said, there's multiple attempts or multiple ways here not to get arrested for this. And like I said, if you trespass me from your facility, I don't stand there and fight. If I want to fight you, I'll fight you in court. Okay. But I'm not going to stand in your store and argue with you because you're going to end up getting arrested. I see it happen all the time.
It's amazing how many people will argue with you, and then I'll give them lots of chances because I don't want to have to bother the police with a trespass, and it eats up my time. And then they'll say, I don't care, call the police. And then you call the police and they'll stand there and wait. And then as they start thinking about it, normally within a couple minutes, then they take off.
Yeah, it's just an inconvenience in a sense. It's on you for having to wait on them to make that decision when you actually call the bluff. So I don't know. I'm a little different. I think people are just, I'm not going to wear a mask or anything, are just stubborn and using it as an excuse. So if you want to look at it that way, like they told me to, so I'm just not gonna, that's fine. But I do think in some cases that's selfish, especially if you work with older people or people with bad immune systems. Whether it is the case or not the case, it's a small, selfish act to just wear a mask dealing with certain people. Now, maybe that tailors where you go, where you shop. If it's an issue for you, don't support the company. But everybody doesn't need to run around being a dick and want to shoot people or stab people because they will or won't wear a damn mask. I mean, we should be a little more mature as a society than that, I think. I can tell you, going into customers' homes, where I just painted a house not long ago, the lady was, I think, just turned 90. I wore a mask the whole time. Didn't even question. She told me I didn't have to worry about it, but that's not the point. She's got family members that stop by, which did. She's got neighbors that come check why this black guy is going in and out of her house, out in this nice neighborhood. And they're all showing up with masks. If she got sick 2 weeks later, they'd be blaming me. Now, whether it's the case or not, doesn't matter. It's not the point. It's just, why sit there and argue? Why take the chance? Personally, I just think it's, the pros don't outweigh the cons. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be cruel, and please nobody take this wrong, but a lot of damn people are in horrible shape and overweight. So, that might be a concern with a mask in some cases. So I think, a lot of people do have a good medical justification for it. But at the same time, I don't think people should look at it the way some do, personally. I think it's a small act to do, not that we should be forced to do it, not that you should have to do it everywhere, not that people should be mandating or arresting people, but I think everybody's made such a big deal out of this. It's ridiculous. I've spent days where I've worked for days underneath homes, insulating houses with respirators, full Tyvek suits, burning my, I don't know if you guys realize how hot it is. Or up in attics sometimes, like, it might seem normal outside. You get working in an attic. Let me tell you something, boy. You talk about a sweatshop, and you're doing all that, blown in insulation, wearing equipment. There's people that do this every day. It's not a big freaking deal. Granted, again, everybody's different, and we should be able to disagree, but we shouldn't be drawing a line in the sand. You wear a mask, I hate you. You don't, I hate you. I mean, people should just be considerate and adults about it. And it's not a
Yep.
big freaking issue.
You're from New York City. I hate you. I mean, what? I'm sorry, I missed something.
No, I'm not from New York City. That's a dirty word to me. No, I mean, there's plenty of people that don't, and that's fine. It's not an issue. You know what I mean? To me, it's not. It's your opinion, but it's like religion. Don't talk shit about everybody that drives by that has a mask on, or of course half the people have it on the chin in their car because they're just driving from A to B and didn't feel like taking it off, or trying to be safe and not contaminate things. So I mean, all this stuff, it just gets old quick. I mean, yeah, there's idiots everywhere, idiots that aren't going to use it right, whatever. But if it's a mental placebo, let it work. I don't understand. Like, if it doesn't work for you, fine, but don't harass your damn neighbor because they're outside with masks. I don't see what the big difference.
Yeah,
I have the right to think they look like an idiot, and they got the right not to get harassed by it. So I don't see what the problem is.
We can't suddenly override everybody's opinion with our own opinion and expect not to have some fallout from that. That's just how that's going to be. And so if I get trespassed from a place, I just leave. If they say you can't be here because of this, and that conflicts directly with my moral standard, then I leave, and I do not provide service to that restaurant. The only exception to that rule that I have is if I arrive at a store that has a no weapons policy posted on the door, I walk into the place and leave a card with the manager of the store, and the card says, "Hi, I wanted to shop at your store today. Unfortunately, your company has saddled you with a policy that restricted my ability to do that. I would love to do business with you, me and the other 7 million firearms owners in this state." And then I leave. And so I'll do that once during the life of that store. And if there's any other possible option than to actually work with that store, then I won't do it.
So Warsaw was asking if you agree with it. AOC talks too much. All she must be asking for is to give a BJ or whatever. I don't agree with anything that AOC has to say. I don't really agree with anything the left has to say because, well, they think that ruining this country and taking our freedoms is a good thing. And I cannot agree with that in any way, shape, or form. So I hope that answers any kind of question about that. Like, I don't agree with, and I know a couple of the liquor stores in our area, they have a sign that says about masks being mandated, whatever, required. But then again, they have another sign that says, if you choose to not wear one, or if you choose to wear one, you are not to harass anyone that chooses the other option. I completely agree with that. If you want to wear a mask, more power to you. If you don't want to wear a mask, more power to you. But there is no reason that we need to attack anyone over something like that. Just like if I decide I want to walk down the street open carrying a firearm, I shouldn't be harassed because I'm open carrying a firearm. I'm not harassing somebody because, they have something stupid I don't agree with.
My basic philosophy that I live by is you don't have to like anybody you don't want to like. You don't have to agree with anything you don't agree with. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
I really don't share that philosophy, Foss. There are times where I really love being a dick. I mean, come on. You haven't ever had that moment where you're like, hey, there'll be no collateral damage from this. And I can totally crap on this person's day. And they're the kind of person that I want to do that to. Incoming. Really? You've never had that. There was one of my crowning achievement moments was crapping on somebody's day who was specifically biasing against me, and I had a ball doing it. It was a lot of fun.
That's a little different.
I had the time of my life.
Yeah.
So I see we are joined out in the crowd by Mr. M. Gabriel and Mr. Mike. So welcome, guys, and thank you for coming over to this section of the chats. So now we get to have our little BS kind of. So, is there anything that we can see coming forward, you know, in the near future that might be a positive? You know, do we know of any rallies that are going to be happening here, let's say in the next 3 to 6 months that we can promote, you know, or anything like that?
Isn't there a Million Man March happening?
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a pretty damn big one today that nobody's gonna be able to make it to. So yeah, so, that would have been a good thing, which I was shocked I didn't hear any advertisement about really.
Very little media footage.
Yeah, well, you think that's where our community kind of falls short. So I guess, you know, I don't know, maybe if certain people aren't making any money, they don't bring it up. I don't know, but seems like I heard more about it from outside sources, and I don't think I heard anything about it from within our normal community, which is, yeah, kind of sad in a sense. But yeah, that's the way things go. So yeah, almost like that topic where you were speaking about the rally with the guest here. Yeah, I don't want to harp on anything, but I don't see how an online rally is a success personally. You know, but again, I'm not trying to harp on nothing, but what's it doing? You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you can't get off your ass and take a paid day, you know, a cut for a day or do something, if it's not worth that much to you, what is it really worth to you? Like you're kind of worthless to the cause, honestly. You know, if you don't have no skin in the game, then you ain't really in the game. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to take a sacrifice, get off your ass, and do something once in a while. Founding fathers before us did a hell of a lot more than what people around here complain about doing, just to catch a normal rally or any kind of major movement or action. So I think that's the main thing we got to get is a fire under people's asses, or just shut up and be a good servant.
Yeah, and see, this is kind of why I ask about if splitting it into, you know, like 3 or 4 different kind of areas, you know.
That's good, but it thins the herd. Then you got people using the excuse, well, I just want to be lazy. I don't want to go. I can't make it or whatever. I'd have to do this. But yet they can still go to Disneyland. They can pay too much for their phones. They can pay overpriced for cars. You know, if you don't, where is it value to you? You know, and that's the problem is most people are too concerned about comfort. But unfortunately, you know, good things take work and that, you know, take sacrifice. So you can't expect to do the same thing. Go ahead, throw your vote in, this and that, watch them do whatever the hell they want. Everything to keep going one way, doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's just not going to work. I mean, everybody can't be that freaking stupid, but yet everybody still wants to play the same game and expect different results. You pointed out, and you're the crazy one. I mean, you know, it's like brainwashing on a mass scale. You got to bust out of the damn mold. Everything in the past that made a difference took sacrifice. People got their ass beat. They got hosed. They got all types of shit. People got killed. Freaking bad shit happened. You know, we can't get somebody to get off the goddamn couch to show up and take 5 hours out their day or something. So, you know, I don't know. Again, I don't know. So sorry, I'll just quiet down. I'm getting a little.
we got to have a passion in this, because without passion, what do we really, if we're not willing to, like you say, put skin in the game, if we're not willing to have that passion, and drive to show that, we really care about something, whereas the opposition, they're getting that, they're getting that passion, the drive, and everything that we seem to just be kind of lackluster about.
Yeah. I think it's, there's something with the people. I don't know what the deal is, but in a sense, it's when you look at percentages of people, like if you look at the armed forces, they're talking about 1% try, less than that actually make it, something like that. I think it was, that's 1% of people that volunteer to do something for somebody other than themselves, even though there is personal benefit, can be, but they're out there taking a risk for somebody else. And obviously, by those numbers, there's not many people willing to do that. And
wait a minute, I'm so confused. 1% of people who try for the armed forces are making it right now?
No, what I'm stating is in total, what they told me is the armed forces is about 1%, and then as you go up in training, as you go up in training, you start dropping into percentages classes of where the level, in a sense. But needless to say, the average person signing in, the average person willing to take that risk or do something is, debatably 1% of our damn population.
Yeah.
So,
I was about to be like, man, we graduated all but 4 guys in basic training. What was wrong with
but
that's terrible.
Well, that's something, because mine, I know, we lost about half the people. Half of them disappeared in the middle of the night. So, we had some that got bit by snakes. They didn't get taken out when they should have, and then they never came back. There was some criminal things. People were sneaking drugs in. There was all types. About half of us graduated. So
wow.
Yeah, there was a few. Met 40 cases, met 20. That one guy got through that could have swore he saw his wife every 5 minutes, and his tips were dripping. But they gave him a gun and pushed him through. I couldn't.
Hey,
Needless to state, so there's some weird stuff that goes on. But my point is, not many people are willing to make a sacrifice that doesn't personally, without personal risk to them. And I think that's part of the problem. People don't have the passion. People don't care. They care enough to throw $5 or say something online, but they're not going to say, no, honey, I'm not going to play bingo next week or golf or whatever the hell your thing is. I'm changing plans. I'm going here. I'm doing this. They don't do it. So,
change topic for a couple minutes. Mr. Kingpin has a question for everyone, and we'll start the choice off with Mr. Foss. He says, "What meat would everyone pick for their survival meat? Just got one pick, but can be any animal on Earth."
I went with chicken. Just because they're easy to raise, you don't need a lot of space, and you get eggs out of it too.
Buffalo, I can turn it into pemmican, and it'll keep forever.
So, go ahead, Rob. What's your choice?
I don't know.
Cat. Say cat.
No, I guess I'd stay probably, I don't know, either beef or elk, maybe. More of a marble with elk, higher counts of. I don't know. It'd be a tough decision.
I'm kind of leaning towards either a cow or goat. I would probably say goat, because I do like feta cheese and goat cheese and stuff like that. Plus, you got goat milk, which is really good. So you've got those different kinds, but not 100% sure how I would go with that.
Well, in reality, survival meat usually ends up being the neighbor's dog or cat. in the type of scenario Kingpin is kind of describing. So
Yes. I see we are joined out in the crowd by Mr. Uplift Mofo Party Plan and
what?
Mr. Two Gun Kitty, the Catnip Outlaw, and Miss Mystic Guns, Mr. Two Live Moo. So, Moo says beaver.
Yeah, he loves that beaver.
He couldn't tell the difference between a beaver and a muskrat.
I could tell you the difference between a beaver and a muskrat. I watch way more of that guy who hunts with the American mink than I should. That program is just amazing. He turns the mink loose and it's like muskrat.
So, yes. So, is there any topics that anyone wants to discuss?
I think we were kind of discussing the topic right now, right? What the heck are we going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, so I've said it over and over again. We've got a room full of leaders in the chat out there, in this conversation room right here. We have people that have leadership qualities, ex-military, self-starters, people who run their own businesses, educators. These are people who could lead a movement. And while we're probably never, any of us, going to run a national movement, the impact that we could have on a local level by just going out there and starting something. And I'll volunteer for myself for this again. If you ever decide you want to kind of get an idea of how to start something in your local area, I am 100% willing to volunteer how I started something. Those are things we can all do. I look at Tony with the Second is for Everyone. He just went out one day and decided to bulldog it. He just made it happen. And I think if we get more of that going, if 10 people in this room do that, we're going to start to see an impact. It would just be harder for people not to participate than it would be to participate if there were more options. And most people are followers. And so if you get a room full of leaders doing the right thing, man, it can be huge.
Absolutely. I know, like, here I'm pretty new to my area, and I'm out here kind of getting the lay of, what kind of organizations we have here locally, and trying to get out there and find if we're missing what we may be missing in the area. And I don't know if there's anyone else kind of doing that recruit, trying to recruit or just find out, why we don't seem to have that big of a voice where we should have a big, huge voice.
I know it's probably not a real popular perspective, but I'm going to blame it on New York Outcast. And then as far as everybody else, you can each find your own targets for self-rage.
I'm more of a self-hating kind of guy.
got you raging over there? My goodness.
No.
My apologies.
No. You were being quiet, which meant you were getting too much in your head.
Yeah, I
You out
do
for a
that
second.
a lot. I think too much sometimes. So
I'm beginning to learn you well enough.
Quite a few times, but yeah, like I said, I don't know. I'd expect more from us as a whole, as a group, in a sense. Or
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
like to. So, and think we could do more for ourselves. I think, and in total, we're depending too much on other people to do stuff, and we need to get off our ass and do it ourselves. I mean, stop
Yep.
waiting for somebody else to fix the problems. Stop waiting for somebody else to show you the way. We need to be trailblazers in a sense. Even if it's millions of us going through the same forest on different paths, as long as we're heading to the same spot, let's get it done. But
Well, we've watched Antifa, the movement of Antifa, in 4 years have a significant impact on the culture of this country in places. And so there's no reason that same opening does not exist for us.
yeah, it's just getting the motivation. I mean, we are lacking media, we are lacking funds, but honestly, I think the personal level, basically, like you guys have stated, locally, things like that, personal bonds can do a lot more than with the right
Yep.
people. Personal connections can do a lot more than fame or however. I can't think of the right words I'm looking for now. But
it's kind of what I think. Not everybody is going to be that upfront great leader that everybody's going to rally behind, but everybody can, do small things to help change the culture. Reaching out, if you know somebody, reaching out to that person, change the way they think. Small things like that, I think, do make a difference. I met up with a lady who she's one of the organizers for the Pink Pistols in our kind of the local area, trying to get her hooked up with the range that I go to. So, I was thinking that would maybe give her a place down here, where she could maybe, organize events for that. And then talking to her thought was, it's our state capital. And she's like, well, this is somewhere that I can take legislators and show them, the firearms and take them shooting. So, little things like that can have an impact.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Mr. Defense Dad says, how many of us have at least one gun in our collection we feel would be safe from Biden's proposed gun laws? If you don't, what will you buy soon?
So I'm not going to change my buying habits at all. Period. End of story. Done. Look, I sat through the last one. I sat through the last ban. I'm one of those people that watched it happen and didn't really do anything about it because I didn't believe it had any significant impact. And so I'm done this time. I have multiple guns in my collection that qualify, both as non-banned or potentially non-banned, and multiple guns in my collection that he would love to get a hold of. And I'm changing my home state to the point where there will be at least one level of resistance from that. We're going to make Tennessee into a complete Second Amendment sanctuary. And hopefully we'll have some degree of financial resistance to the then blockout that the federal government will do under a Biden administration of federal funds to our cities and towns. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, on my end, it hasn't even been a thought, honestly. I don't get it. I'm not, until we have a decision, I could care less what Biden says, personally. I'm not even bothered to look, and honestly, I'm tired of the shows with everybody arguing about shit they don't know. So until we know something, I prefer just to get off it. I know it's not my show, but you know what I mean. But we can speculate all damn day. We ain't doing nothing except speculate. So let's I don't know. I have to see what actually happened. And then just because he wants to do something doesn't mean it's going to get passed. I mean, we're getting all revved up over stupid shit that don't even matter at this point, in my opinion. But that's just me. So I couldn't care less what the hell the guy's got to say until he gets legally sworn in. It doesn't matter to me. And until something gets pushed a bill and it's sitting somewhere to get looked at, it doesn't matter to me. So I don't know. Granted, that's just me, but I'm not. All this stuff people are saying and he wants to do this, I don't. I could want a bunch of stuff too, but it don't mean a damn thing. So.
Yep, exactly. But you live in New York, so pretty much everything he has in his policy has already happened. You don't have anything to worry about. I mean,
that's what I hear. Yeah, it'll be more like New York across the country. And if that's the case, well, I'm sorry for you suckers because it sucks. Let me tell you. So, hopefully people stand up and do something about that because it's some crap. But as you see, most people just go with the flow, like here in New York, and I got to deal with this bullshit.
Yep. And like Chris was saying, he has to deal with that same bull crap over in California, So,
I mean, things, I don't know. Everybody gets stuck on because it's been this way. Things don't always got to be the same, and things don't always stay the same. I mean, you can change things if you want to change things. You want to lose weight, you can, but you got to want to. You got to try. You want to quit smoking, same thing. You don't want to be a bum or smoke crack, then pull your pants up, brush your teeth, and go work. We just because things are away doesn't mean it's got to be, and because things are not working how they should be, who the hell knows how things are really going to turn out? So, and it's all kind of an illusion in a sense with the media and everything. So, again, when it comes to Biden, I couldn't care less what he's got to say until the time comes that he is technically legally the president, and then I'll have a whole nother opinion, but a lot less faith in our government. So,
yeah, I think we'll all pretty much have lost our faith in our government at that point.
Oh yeah. I mean, we know they're crooked, but are they going to get away with it? If they truly get away with it, I personally am going to have to struggle in seeing the point because up to the top, it's all shit. So what, we can sit here and act like we're going to be those people going in a casino and we're going to come out ahead, but they don't get the casino by everybody winning. So I just, I see as a more realistic, and we're basically screwed at that point. So if society wants to let that be the case, so be it. But what's in my heart don't line up. So we'll see how things go.
Does anybody ever view the presidential election as having any level of legitimacy again after this? I mean, are there people out there that say, oh, I think we can fix the system, or do we think it's just going to be cheat city all the way to the end at that point once they figured out how to get away with it?
Well, okay. So if by chance this holds up, which I honestly can't see that it could hold up. Now, with saying it's only going to happen during a presidential election, that seems to be super naive.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think that it wouldn't be then adopted by states?
Well, it would become the standard. Well, let's be honest. If you look at any nation where cheating has ended up as a norm process for the elections, and I get it, guys. I was here in 2000, right? I watched Bush Jr. steal the election. Okay. But this blatant level that we're seeing now and more higher frequency that we're seeing now is definitely a new development. And so to say that we're going to ever have a normal cheating or a normal level of cheating at this point or anything of that nature going forward, then, everybody, they'll have effectively killed faith in our electoral process. And I don't know what that does to the nation for a minute. I mean, to me, that feels like the, Civil War era kind of stuff where people just completely abandoned their faith in a centralized government and the belief system of the primary government process. So I'm not a big government guy. Yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
well,
and-
the contract's
and-
gone.
Yeah, and then technically that would leave us to do the only legal responsible thing to do, which would
Yep.
be do something back against it. But
Yep.
if you bring that up, you're a crazy person. So,
Well, at this point, they need you to be a crazy person if you bring that up,
well,
because they can't
exactly.
afford.
But I mean, that's technically our obligation.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean. So when you really look at it that way, you know, is it time? That's debatable. You know what I mean. Obviously, you need the public behind you in that situation, which. At this point, we got a lot more behind us than not. Granted, I'm not trying to start nothing, but at the same time, there's got to be something. I mean, if it gets to that point and goes, you know, like I said, we're basically over in a sense. Faith in the system. I think it's going to be a big effect on people. I don't think it's just people I think there's people in the middle, people on the other side that see this as being an issue. I mean, this time it would say it could have been towards the right. Next time it could be towards the left. You
I mean,
know,
is
it's
anybody
just,
out
you
there?
know, we barely have a choice as it is. We get to choose the ones they put in front of us. You know what I mean? And now this,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, to me, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, personally. So, very upsetting that Biden is even a candidate in this race. I mean, come on, with all this stuff out on the family,
Yeah.
you know, the hair sniffing and what normal American's going to trust their damn granddaughter with that guy? But you're going to let him run the country? I mean, come on, people, get the hell out of here. This is crazy. The whole thing's crazy. Other people got to be calling us the most stupid idiots out there. Like, we didn't even pick a good con guy. We got shit, you know.
Well, no offense to the Trumpers out there, and I love what Trump has done. Don't get me wrong, but I could not believe that our choices for presidency were Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I can't believe that our choices for president this year are Biden and Donald Trump. I am just absolutely dumbfounded that this is the best we can do as a republic. Just
I actually like the fact that Trump. I'm not saying I'm in love with Trump or anything, but when it first came out as rumors, I heard on AM radio years ago that he might be running. I was like, you know what? I actually like that in a sense, because I know they don't see the country as a business, but I don't know a damn household that can put out more than it brings in and survive. Like, the shit just don't add up anymore. You know what I mean? You got to start reeling stuff in my opinion, without placing value on future people that ain't even born yet on their head.
Yep.
I mean, there's got to be a way of doing this better. I don't like politicians. I'll be honest. You know, they all tell you one thing to another. So you could have your politician that you're happy with today that you may not be with in 6 months, but they're all freaking scumbags. I'd much rather have a business guy, a regular guy, or somebody else in there besides the regular damn people. Personally, that's me. Now we may not get a much better job, but at the very least, at least it ain't a scumbag politician.
Yep. Here's the truth of the matter is Trump is not a Republican. And so the further these parties get away from their party lines and what they were originally intended to be, and President Trump was elected as a Republican. He's not a Republican in any way, shape, or form. He's not a fiscal conservative or any of those behaviors. And so I don't believe we should continue naming these parties the way we're naming these parties if we're not going to run these parties the way you know what I mean? For a Republican to claim that they're a fiscal conservative right now is ridiculous. It's time to split into 4 or 5 different parties. Let's have some fiscally conservative candidates. Let's have some, conservative behaving, more liberally fiscal candidates and things of that nature. But the Republicans haven't run a conservative in almost 30 years. The Democrats haven't run anything resembling a true Democrat since Kennedy. Clinton was probably pretty close. And so at this point, it's time to break them up.
So we've been joined out by Mr. Rupan RX, Fiendog 27, Honcho Fett, and so since Honcho Fett was the last one to join, he said that he was buying dinner for us, is what I heard.
Nice. Honcho, that's really freaking cool of you, dude. I never would have anticipated that.
I'm waiting for a comment from him now. He says, I have some cheese for y'all.
Outstanding government cheese. Far from under. But it's time to break the parties up. It's time to further spread their power out, and I think you're beginning to see sub entities really exist within both the Republican and the Democrat Party. Somebody termed them as Trumpism or Trumpites the other day, and I think Outcast is right. I like the idea of more common man leadership in our country. Trump did a fabulous job, but again, to label him as a Republican, I think does damage to the concept of what republicanism is.
I would love to see a strict constitutionalist.
That'd be fun, wouldn't
it? Business or business person. Let's put it this way: business person. I don't care if you're man, woman, whatever. If you are a strict constitutionalist and you are a business person, and that's how you want to treat the United States, I would be so friggin' amazed. I would be so happy to have that person as the president.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way things are set up now, their car would explode or something like that, or be found with 2 gunshots in the back of their head while tied up, called suicide or whatever. So that's part of the problem. You know what I mean? There is too much power in one area, in a sense, too much focus, and like he said, in a sense, it would be nice to see something change, and I would. I'm definitely down with actually seeing them have to work for their votes. I think that, a cap on campaigning and work for your votes. I'd like to see that. Show us why we need to put you there, not just send a few flyers talking crap about the next guy. And then I get mail saying flyers talking crap about this guy. You know what I mean? I haven't learned nothing this whole dang time except you both hate each other. And it sounds like I shouldn't vote for any of them. I'm talking about some of my locals, you know what I mean? Where it's just, this is all just BS. And guess what? I'm betting my tax money's paying for all this damn mail. I got to throw away too, you sons of a. It might not be. I'm sure it's on campaigns, but you know what I mean? It's just, at least give me something I can use for kitty litter or something if you're sending junk all the time. I don't know. But it's just, it's a little crazy. I mean, I'd like to see people actually, throwing ideas out there like this. They didn't cover so many things because everybody knows, well, it's so divided. They're not going to touch this. They're not going to touch. Well, maybe we should be covering those things because that is the issue of today, instead of pussyfooting around it, beating around the bush, and let's try to get them voted in on these other topics, right? No, let's handle the good stuff, man. Let's get it done. Let's stop the bullshit. I don't know. It's not about what's, my lifestyle, me and you. It's about the kids, grandkids. It's about the ones that come behind us and all the people that laid down, lost blood, laid their life out before us. So all this, I'm not going to do anything unless I get something out of it. Crap is bullshit.
Yep. So Honcho Fett says out in the crowd, he says, remove all people in office, no one that is currently serving or families that have served. All new candidates start fresh.
I'm game for a reset.
Dude, that would be so amazing.
Yeah, reset, and we can start trying to reset the culture too, and maybe get people to do more for themselves instead of expecting government to do everything for them.
So there's no world where a reset happens without something crazy. I'm just saying. Nobody's going to reset.
Nobody's going to willingly give up power and say, okay, what's the best way to do this? Yeah. It's not going to happen. Never going to happen. Nobody does that.
We are joined out in the crowd by the Poor Conservative and Mr. G. Webbs. So thank you guys for jumping in.
Yeah, give my apologies. So I might be a little brash tonight or whatever. So I haven't been on too many shows lately, so I'm getting a little irritable with some of this stuff. So my apologize to people out there. So at least I managed to keep it together for the good interview.
So G-Webs kind of has a good idea. He says draft 10 people. They fight till there are 3 people standing. The 3 winners are tasked with doing some job for 2 years. The 7 losers gotta pay double taxes for 2 years.
Well, I think, here's the truth. We've become a plutocracy. And we only became a plutocracy when it became possible to become wealthy as a politician. And it became possible to become wealthy as a politician because we didn't pay attention to them. There's a song that I used to listen to when I was younger, and it's called "It's Time for Guillotines." And so, revolutions against your government because it has become too powerful are ugly and end in ways you don't even want to think about. And we have to sit down and ask ourselves, have we let it go too far? Is it no longer possible to reel it back in? And is it possible to get the very men and women that wield this amount of power to vote against their own power? Does anybody believe that even for a second, a law would be passed by the men and women in charge right now politically to reduce the amount of power or the duration that they were willing to stay in power?
These are the same people that vote to give themselves raises, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And then, so the next step of that process is, so if you want them out, you're going to have to tell them they have to leave. And then you're going to have to show up and make them leave because they're not going to leave on their own. And then we go back to this place where everybody gets scared because they feel like the FBI is going to be knocking on their door asking them questions tomorrow, right? And that's where we all hide every single time. Is there a peaceful way to do that? Absolutely. But it requires masses. It requires movement of people. And it does not have to require violence if you do it in mass. If you try to do it as one-offs, it invariably ends up ugly. We're going to have to get together on this.
So we have Mr. Gizzard Gary out in the crowd. Welcome. I threw the link out if somebody wants to be daring enough to jump on the panel with the likes of us 4.
Just keep your pants on, please, people.
Yes, pants are pants may be
really?
required, but shorts at least some kind of coverage.
I'm going to log out real quick. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know pants were a requirement.
It's cool if you got the camera off, but yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
We don't need any of those Buzz Gordon showing up or whatever you want to call it, so.
We don't need a Carolina EDC incident or a Black Hawk or Nighthawk. Or
what?
Well, you figure that's part of the problem. I mean, who thinks it's right or cool or it's funny? Like, how do you? Oh, I got them. They seen my dick and balls. Like, okay, like that makes you feel good. I mean, what's wrong with people these days, man? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
What happened to Black Cat on his show? Carolina got hit.
Like, it's sad that's a win for that asshole. It really is. But that's what they call a win. So be it, I guess.
Oh, I definitely had a senior moment there. Just started mixing channels, and somehow Nighthawk got blamed. Oh.
TPC.
Ancho says, keep your balls in your pants, pal. So, yes. the link is definitely out there in the chat if somebody wants to jump in, but we can keep going the way we are.
I feel like what he's saying is we're boring, Rob.
Yeah, nope.
I'm not even looking at the chat. If that's what you, if you're referring to something in the chat, I can't see it at the moment. So.
Well, that's probably for the best. They don't like you out there.
Mr. Defense Dad,
Mr.
Two Gun Kitty, welcome, guys. So,
how's everyone doing?
Doing great. Did you guys have anything you want to add to like the Chris Chang or any of the conversations that we've been having tonight?
I kind of missed most of the Chris Chang part. I ended up wrestling with my grand. I broke it down to kind of clean the inside, and wasn't the easiest battle, but I ended up getting it done. So I missed that part of it. But I caught a bit of like New York Outcast commenting about the online rally. I kind of agree a lot with his thoughts on it. I didn't see the point of it, and I think there's other motives behind it. Just gotta say Rob Pincus, I think that says it all. And just we got to decide where we're going from here. The system is broke. Can it be fixed? Not in the manner or that I think we want, because there's so much power that you got to wrestle away, and they got the money, they got the media, they got pretty much everything. So the little person, we just got to dig in and resist. But it's like, how many people really want to resist? I think everyone's just very comfortable and don't want to get their hands dirty. And by dirty, I mean like, showing up at rallies, showing up at protests, simple things, even just sending an email to their politicians. People don't want to do the work. And, Nighthawk Medic always talks about leaders, and yes, we need leaders, but we need followers too. It's one thing for people to take the lead, but if there's no one standing behind them, they're not going to go too far. I'm myself am more of one that I'll follow someone. I'm good at working with people and taking direction and adding stuff, giving them feedback. I'm not like a true follower. I'm a leader, but I'm a great follower. But it's sometimes it's tough to find good leaders to get behind.
Well, and I think I'm talking to this crowd about leaders, right? Because I think we have more leaders in this crowd than we actually have followers. It's very difficult to get in a group of people that produce their own content and kind of create their own stuff and say, "Follow me."
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
You get different types of people, because you get like the ones that do want to kind of like be more activist, and then you get others that just kind of want to try and milk this system too. So there's a big divide within our community.
Yeah.
So we got to find out who the true people are that you want to side with and follow.
Well, and there's the old saying, it's easier. What is it? It's easier for people to follow a maniac than it is for them to follow Jesus Christ. So that's why you only get one Jesus Christ and lots of maniacs. We have to be picky about who ends up in those positions. Twice in our history, somebody was chosen based largely on their public speaking skills. And so once in that, you get Dr. Martin Luther King, and the other time you get Adolf Hitler. And so, being choosy about that person is important. But we have to start choosing. And that may mean, going through our own crowds, going through everybody around us. And like I said, I encourage you out of this crowd, step up here and try to be that leader And if you suck at it, hand the reins off to somebody else. But we've got to get started somewhere. And we're so good at saying we should, but we can't because of this limitation that we never get started. It never goes anywhere. And it becomes a theory.
Problem.
Yeah.
That's like a rally. Let's go have a rally for our rights at the State House. Well, it's hunting season. I got to work. I got to this. I got to that. And it's like, it's one day. If it's an important, day to demonstrate because they're going to pass laws, can't you give up one day? I mean, I'm new to this, and I took time to go to the DC rally, and I took time to go to a rally up in Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
You can take time off. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Yes, there's a few people that, I'll get fired. But truly, how many people have a gun to their head like that with their job? And, just people, want to make excuses. And you offer to give people rides, and people even have an excuse for that.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, nobody's willing to put in the work. They all want the paycheck. Nobody wants to do the damn job, is what it seems
like. Hey, Foss, could you jump into the Discord real quick and deal with Ashley M?
What's that?
Ashley M, the Antifa representative that hangs out in the CloverTech Discord, just posted something repulsive in there. You might want to get on it.
I'll go.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have Discord.
I got rid of it.
I just don't have. I've got so much stuff on my phone that I've actually run out of room, and so it's like crap. Now I'm gonna have to buy a bigger memory card for my phone.
Well, I think we all have this massive, there are people out there right now that have a bunch of people following them. And if you could and I know I get it. If YouTube is your retirement plan or your career plan, maybe this is going to get a lot of hate and be crazy. But here's an email address or a link to where you can get your congressman's email address. And here is an email that has been approved by a lawyer, by the Gun Owners of America's lawyer or whatever else. Would somebody please go out there and send this email to their local congressman whose name and email address is right here, encouraging them to do the right thing? And we have this massive place where we can stand up and make noise. And I'll actually, gang, I'm not over here suggesting things that I'm not going to do. I'm editing a video right now where I'm going to make an appeal for a state I don't even live in, okay, to do something about what's going on there. Okay. So, I mean, we have to try and make an impact where we are. And my little corner of the world is not very big, but maybe I can brighten it just a little bit. So I encourage it. But I'm going to jump off here, having left that particular landmine for everybody to try to walk over, because I need to go pay attention to the most important creature on Earth. Thanks for having me in G23.
Well, thank you for joining. You want to go ahead and plug your channel before you get out of here?
Nighthawk Medic Shoots. We've got a bunch of new firearms that we're actually working on this week, and we're real excited. It's some cool stuff. We've got some neat little 45s by Rock Island and some stuff that we've had a lot of fun shooting. So thanks again, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
So, yeah, I think we do have to push a little bit more at the local level to get things moving in the right direction before we go and lose everything. And
that's where the fight really is on the local level.
It's not just our 2A we're going to lose. We're going to be losing our entire Constitution. We're going to lose our First Amendments, We already see, platforms and websites and stuff that are restricting our rights, and people just accept it. There's not really any pushback.
I think, a lot, especially the younger generation, they're conditioned to accept certain things, and
Yes.
they'll push back when they're told to push back on certain things, but when they're told to, hey, this is the line you got to toe, then they'll fall back into that line. And we just get so many people that are lemmings, and you're seeing it with COVID. How so many people just letting oh, my government says this, so we got to do it, and it's like, a shutdown. We shut down at the beginning of this. It did nothing. Now they want to shut down again. It's not going to do anything. You're going to let your Walmarts be open, but you're going to shut down the mom and pops.
Is that not again our fault for allowing this? For just sitting back
May not be ours in general as our age group, but as a collective, yeah, it could be that we kind of let go of the wheel and trusted other people and got us to this point, in my opinion. But yeah, I totally agree with what he was saying, and I think you can follow that right back to the school system. If your kid's at school and are bully in school and gets punched in the face, and your kid punches him back, well, guess what? He's in trouble.
Right.
You should try to handle it the right way. But when the right way doesn't work, you got to stand up for yourself, and that's seen as a negative, to children across, from what I hear across the nation. I can't speak firsthand across that, but I know here, like you get in trouble to fight back for yourself, even when you're being attacked. If you get jumped and you beat the crap out of the other people, you're probably going to jail too. It's just and that's not right. But and then you get a lot of parents like that too that just pass it on. And I think that's kind of been like a cancer to our society, where it's gonna be a shame in a sense where now you'll see some the jerk on the corner punching some old lady, and people just want to walk by instead of actually standing up to do something
or video it.
Men need to be men. Damn it, stop all this bullshit.
Back when I used to work in the school system and as a head custodian for about 25 years, and I could see the evolution of a lot of this crap. Especially during the early to 2000s is when they really did a big push to change the culture, especially on the elementary level, where they really went into conditioning kids. The school I was at, we had this one whack job assistant principal that brought in this thing. It was called Responsive Classroom, and it was this thing that took a lot of power out of the teacher's hands and put it actually in the kids' hands, where it's like you're supposed to talk to you don't talk to them as teacher student. You talk to them, oh, how you doing today, friend? They just made this weird culture, and it just you could see that decline of and where it brought more kind of almost like a mind control type of a thing, conditioning. And
it is. People think we're so much different, but I mean, other cultures are different for a reason, because that's how they're pretty much programmed, but in a sense we've gotten hijacked, in my opinion.
And it just, they take little steps every so many years. Someone, some person creates a new format for them to follow that progresses the last one. And, I saw it when the principal let this one assistant principal bring this responsive classroom thing into that school. It changed the whole culture. Older teachers didn't like it because they could see through it and saw what the negative aspects, but the young teachers jumped on board. It's all the happy, joy stuff, it just ruins the culture. And, but no one stops it because it sounds good. because it's the feelings thing. Oh, it sounds good. Let's do it.
It's all the PG and, let's prepare people for the world we wish we lived in instead of the one you actually live in. So you're giving people the wrong tools. And then when things don't work out, they crack and, I don't know, rape the girl that says no, or shoot up the school because somebody scuffed their shoes, or, all this ridiculous crap, in my opinion, because, we don't always get what you want. That's life. You struggle and fight to achieve it, but sometimes you don't get it. And guess what? You try harder. Some other people are better than you. You're not the best at everything. Every kid's not the next football star. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't want to short people, but blowing people up with this false illusion of everybody's just your family's always gonna bail you out of trouble, and you're gonna live like people on TV and blah blah blah. And then when it doesn't work, you're setting them up for a false reality. It doesn't work that way.
And they can't handle the failure.
Exactly, because it's a coddled culture in a sense. And that's like you said, a whole big deal there. But I think those are a lot of the people that are voting now. Those are a lot of people that have kids that your kid may have an altercation with at school that you're going to run into those parents. And at least in my area, when you start seeing that, and that's the regular, it gets pretty depressing. So hopefully it can be taken back. I just want to add, when I stated, men be men, I'm not trying to leave out women there either. And I'm not trying to sound one way or another. The best thing I could ask for my daughters are that they are self-empowered, don't have to depend on somebody. They can share the life with somebody as a partnership, but they don't need a man to carry them. And there's a lot of men that are like, oh, well, we should be able to just club women and take what we want. And I just don't feel that way. I think an individual is an individual, and we all have rights, and we should all be respected. And everybody shouldn't be, everybody's got the right to defend themselves, man, woman, whatever the case. Take the hard right instead of the easy left. But a lot of people just won't do it.
Going like on a different direction from the topic, with women and men. My stepdaughter, she's 25, and she's college graduate and professional, and she's has a hard time dating because these guys are so enabled. They they can't handle stuff. They need, they get upset when they text you and you're busy and you don't text them back and stuff like that. And it's like, they've lost that ability to be a guy, and they've become almost, these weak individuals that, because like you say, they don't know how to handle rejection or socializing. It used to be, hey, I don't want to hang out with my girlfriend. I'm going to go hang with my buddies. Now it's like, they want to be on the phone texting their girlfriend, and when she doesn't respond, they're shattered. It's weird. It's almost like the dynamic is flipped, because it used to be a girl would call the guy and get upset because the guy wouldn't call her back. And now it's, the guys are acting like that.
Yeah, so
we gotta have that validation, I guess. Validation, and in a sense, in my opinion, what I see with a lot of young guys kind of scares me.
They can't handle
not people I want my kids with. I can put it that way. And it's kind of a control thing. I see a lot. People say what they want, but there's a lot of shitty guys. I don't care. There's probably a lot of shitty women too, but a lot of people, everything is cool, and then it's a slow control thing. If you can't trust somebody, you can't trust them. Don't try to change them. Don't be their babysitter. Either you like who they are or you don't. Get over it, or go a different way. You know what I mean? But don't try to make somebody fit your peg. You know what I mean? Because I see that in relationships all the time, and it's a shame, because a lot of these girls, they just get battered and abused until one day they don't want to, and then they got a whole bunch of baggage, and things don't always work the way they want. And it's, it's just a shitty deal all around, and it doesn't help with homes and parents and kids with households with parents. And, it's a bad deal. Everybody has value. So, I just would like to see people have a little more self-respect and value in some cases.
Yeah, and it's just, these kids can't handle rejection on any level. And, you're seeing it into relationships, with work, with sports, anything. And, they don't know how to cope. They've lost that ability. And, when we were younger, and it's like, if we had a disagreement, we'd punch each other in the face, and then later the next day we're playing together. These kids they don't know how to work stuff out and then go back to a normal life. It's weird.
And you would learn to watch what you said, because you might get punched in the face.
Yeah, you would learn that lesson. It's like, what your boundaries were. They don't want to teach these kids that there are boundaries, or something. It's weird. But it's funny when you have kids that are, graduate college and start to get into the real world and see how their generation is coping and handling stuff. And they definitely don't have the skills.
So I want to welcome Mr. Defense Dad back to the show. And you got something to say?
Oh, I tried to jump in earlier, but I was driving and my reception was crap, so I figured I'd hop in.
So you got anything on the topic?
Well, I missed the last few minutes, but if you're talking about kids and what they get, like, as far as having self-respect, that kind of stuff, like, part of it happens like at school, like, and it might be a little off topic, but like they get sent home from school for stupid stuff. Like, I had one of my coworkers last year, or excuse me, one of my friends last year, her kid was getting pummeled on by a bully, and he threw one punch to defend himself after he's on the ground, and he got suspended from school just like the other kids. So, like, you can't even stand up for yourself anymore these days without getting in trouble.
Now, is that not our fault? When I say our fault, I'm talking about society in general. Because since about the mid-90s, we've kind of allowed this to just gradually get worse and worse. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So if parents like they God forbid they say, oh yeah, my kid's being a jerk, and punish him. They say, there's no way. Well, your kid hit my kid. I don't care if he was beating him up. Like, he should be just in much trouble. I mean, parents have gotten so every freaking generation. I've said this to a lot of people.
Are you there?
Well, back in the 90s.
So the kids grow up not understanding right from wrong, having any source of value, because their parents don't teach it to them. And I'm really old fashioned with my kid. I don't let her get away with that crap and that kind of stuff. But God, some of the parents I see, especially go to the PTA meetings and all that crap, just makes me. I want to wring their neck sometimes.
I had a friend that this is back in the 90s, and he had two sons that were, real kind of punks in a way, but not in a real tough sense, but they just would push the boundaries. And one of them one day threw a propane tank off at the deck, so he punished him. Gave him a licking, and so the kid went into school and said something. So next thing you know, he's got social services. So the kids knew that, we got control now.
I don't think the kids at school don't know this, and in some cases, the school systems too. Because I don't want to get too personal, but the schools are more than happy to try to snatch your kid up because you ground them for some reason or whatever the case, and your kid's just scared and can't take the pressure or something. So, you got to be real cautious, but at the same time, you still got to do your job. I mean, it's not illegal to discipline your kid. It's like say something, make your kid get a job or chip in and do something, do chores and actually work for their cell phone or something. But, you tell a parent that and they're like, no, the kid's got to have it and this and that. And you think back, how many times did, we all got here from somewhere and we didn't have cell phones all the time. You know what I mean? Things like, there's lessons you got to learn. You got to take a little risk. You got to be smart. You can't just be a dumbass your whole life up into adulthood and expect your parents to cover your ass, you know?
Yeah, me personally, I've had some sort of a job since I was 12 years old. I probably worked more than I should have, and the child labor laws wouldn't allow that now. But like my kid, my son, he's 26 now, but when he turned 16, we didn't supply him with a car. We gave him X amount of money we would put towards it. Anything above that, he had to earn himself. So he detasseled. He worked summer jobs. He saved up for that. I drive by. I drive by the high school now, and you see these kids. They drive cars that are nicer than the parents, or than the teachers can afford to drive.
Oh yeah,
my first car was my first car was a '76 Pinto wagon with bad brakes and a slipping clutch. But I paid it for it myself, and like I was like you, I didn't. I forget my first job was like 14 and 15, but before that, I started a bait shop. Around 10 years old, I think. I'll go out and catch my own worms at night. Then, we got a wholesaler. And so I had a little bait shop that I would make money. And so I would buy the things I wanted. I didn't have to rely on my parents. And, when I graduated high school and was in college, I need that when that Pinto died, I was able to buy a car outright with cash. So I mean, these kids don't know how to value that these days. They think they should be getting their $15 minimum wage.
Yeah, and then they jump right onto a brand new car loan, which they're going to struggle to afford, and then you got to have the best phone, and you got to go get your hair done, nails done, and spring break, and so then credit just starts blowing up, and then become a damn debt slave. That's basically just a slave to payments at that point to keep up with the Joneses, so they are socially acceptable. Because God forbid you stand out to your group of friends, and you're an outcast, whatever it may turn out to. And most people don't have the self strength or discipline to be an individual instead of just be a follower. So. Yeah, it gets tricky.
It is, and it's tough as parents because you don't see. I think also one of the things too nowadays is parents have more than what our parents back in the 60s and 70s had. Because you got to remember, that if they had a house, the interest rates back then were what 15% or something. Nowadays, your interest rates are 3 to 5%. So that your parents didn't have as much. Plus, usually you had one parent working and maybe a stay-at-home mom. Now you have two parents working, and so these kids are provided more. And how many TVs did you have in your house when you were a kid? Nowadays these kids have TVs, computers in their rooms. Same thing. A family may have had one, maybe two cars. Now it's okay. The parents have their cars. You have three kids with three separate cars. These kids just are given more and have to do nothing really to get it.
Yeah, I think being set up to fail in a lot of cases. So, I mean, yes, they are being set up to where on paper things look good, but as in practice, doesn't always work that way. So, I don't know. I guess that could be, the overall system part of the problem is people striving for things that may be, unattainable and not being able to handle failure. So I'm not sure. Not necessarily striving for things that may be unattainable, but expecting, as they'd say, the white fence and the picket house. Well, that's long gone. Now everybody's off to other things. But you can't, you can't party and expect success, your whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't really. You got to put in some work here and there. So and teaching values, teaching what it takes to work. Even if I was rich, I wouldn't just hand over a bunch of money to my kids. Like you're going to have to be able to do something because this money could disappear. And still, you should do something to provide, not just be a taker in the world. So, you know, it's just some of this is crazy. In my area with the college, ran some numbers. On average, I think the college kids are driving $65,000 cars in my area. So they can drive on the shoulder drunk and everything, don't get tickets. If they get pulled over, it's handled within the school. It's not a big deal. You know, I go out there and, you know, whatever the case is, you know, I don't know, doing 2 miles an hour over, I'm getting harassed and thrown a ticket, but they get away with murder. It's, it's definitely a, you know, two-party system in a sense when in some cases, or more than two-party system, but, they're not being held in some cases to the same standard the rest of the people do. So I don't know. If you're old and broke, you live by the old rules, and if you're young or have money, then apparently you get treated differently.
So, and when you ask your question earlier to Chris, I was just kind of thinking about it. Rob, that was a really, really good question about the no money. Like if money was no object.
Okay, yeah, that'd be a hard one for me too. That's why I was hoping I didn't, you know, it wasn't a bad thing because that could be a tough one to answer.
It was a great question, you know, and I you know, there's so many different ways you could run with that. And
What was the question? I missed that.
so Rob asked if money was no object, what would you do, or something like that. Rob can answer that question that he threw out
I
there.
got it written down in the other room, but basically, yeah, if money was no object, what's something that you just have to do?
Like you talking one of them watery money no object, or you just made a good income living?
I mean,
No,
like you couldn't spend all the money in your grandkids' lifetime or whatever. Money's not the question. Your bill's covered. There's one thing you can do. I mean, what would you do? I mean, it could be something, you know, I don't know, eat the best chicken and sit at a movie theater all day, or buy a movie theater, or, you know, you could buy an island. You could do something totally different, donate it all. I have no idea. What would you have to skydive with a donkey and, you know, a midget or something? I don't know. You know, what's something you would just have to do if money wasn't an issue?
Honestly, I'd buy a small acreage outside of town. I could have my own shooting range and not worry about it. But I'd also, if I had that kind of money, I would set up a scholarship at my old high school. But not for what people might think. They're for kids like me who have a lot of potential, but either worked a lot and they weren't maybe the best student, but they had a good chance to go to college if they could get a little bit of help.
See, I kind of like where he was going with that, but then again, I would definitely, I'd have to have some acres so I could have my own like shooting range on my property and stuff. But I would buy one of every gun that was ever made from the beginning of time till, you know, I couldn't buy them anymore, just so that, you know, I could have, you know, fun and educate people and bring people out to, you know, let them shoot anything, you know, from a 22 to full auto, you know, 50 cal machine gun.
Yeah. I'd also have a wood shop that would make Norm Abram jealous.
Mr. Foss?
I'll jump next. Besides, like, you know, getting the, you know, place that you come. See, I wouldn't want just one place. I'd want that maybe a place in Wyoming for the summer, a place down in Texas or somewhere nice in the south for the winter, and then I'd like to travel, see the world, meet people, go to places I haven't been to, and experience other cultures. Hopefully, expand on myself and see how they live, and that's probably the way I would go.
Mr. Foss, how would you answer that question?
I would feed the poor. All I would want, is just some land where I could shoot if I want to shoot, and somewhere I could fish if I want to fish, and then a large stay away from me fence all around all of it.
Rob, how would you answer your own question?
Whew. Like I said, that's a tough one.
You could use the money to free New York.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. I mean, to start, I'd need at least a bed made out of money, so that way I could deface it. We'll say, and obviously, I'd sterilize the money, babe. Don't worry. But better. The other portion of that right now on my mind, I couldn't publicly say what I do, but it involved a bit of property, a bunch of gear, and a whole lot of people. But I can't publicly state what I'd be thinking at this point. But I'd be so. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one for people.
Kingdom of the Rob.
Kind of where I was going with that same thing, where you bring people out to educate them.
There's no Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So.
Another question I was going to ask, which I think if you can get them on again might be a good one, is, what's the question that you never get asked that you'd like to answer? Or, I know that's kind of weird, I guess, but, I'm sure there might be something he's kind of question-wise where, he's surprised he didn't get a question that he, would cover or something like that, or I don't know, maybe I should rephrase it better. Mm-hmm. But what's the question you're surprised you don't get asked or something like that? So
yeah, I kind of see where you're going with that. Like asking kind of the open-ended, question on all the broadcasts that you've been on, all the panels that you've been on. What's the one question that you're kind of surprised you have never faced?
There you go. Yeah, that's why you might be surprised. Who knows?
Go ahead, Mr. Two Gun Kitty. I know you were trying to jump in with a comment.
Well, it's a question like that's good because it gives them an opportunity to maybe go in a direction of a thought that they haven't had to bring up, or didn't think that, okay, this isn't the topic today, so I'm not going to go there, but it gives them a chance to maybe go there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I do hope that we can get him back in for another hour or longer, because I don't know, that hour went by so quick, and I know that there were so many follow-up questions that I had, and I know that other people on the panel had follow-up questions also, that I think we could have easily been on there for 5 hours just trying to get all the questions and follow-up questions going, but
You're gonna have to send him an email, thank him for coming on, and all that stuff, and put the option out there. You'd love to have him come back sometime, but leave it to him and let him know how to get back in touch with you. Who knows?
oh yeah, I mean, him and I were emailing back and forth, and like I said, it took about a month and a half from the time he was on Sandhills Shooter to when we could hammer out a date for him to jump on here. But
That means it took him 3 weeks to get one of your normal 3-hour shows. It's like, God damn it, really? Do I have to? Oh, why did I say yes?
but yeah,
They're all assholes.
maybe next time I'll have the paid version. But I was trying to keep it limited on how many people we had on the panel, so it wasn't, too overwhelming.
Yeah, I think you did that well. And
with the time
next time,
frame.
if it comes up next time and you want to swap out, then it's no problem on my end or whatever. So
I may throw out
small and focused on the interviewee or the person you're interviewing is ideal. Instead of just a random 20 people trying to get something in, because then you can't really get too far in anything either on a time limit. So
maybe I'll throw out the deal where he can also bring like a guest.
Yeah, or somebody he wants to thought was all right from last time or whatever the case is. However, when you're inviting somebody else on, you got to kind of put it to them how they want to do it. Unless there's bullshit involved and you guys are placing a plan to sell us something that doesn't work, then the hell with you guys. But.
Oh no. But yeah, I really do think that kind of interview went. I mean, I think it went pretty good, and he seemed to have some fun, especially with Kingpin's question about the gaming system.
At least you didn't ask about mayonnaise.
The thing is like Rob and I had already discussed before anyone else jumped in that we weren't going to bring up the hot dog topic.
Keep it professional, man. There's a lot of ways you can go with this, so keep it short, sweet, professional.
Hot dog damn, here we go.
Oh no! I mean, it would have been great to have had Defense Dad on, so he could have argued the fact that a hot dog is not a sandwich.
I put that video out just because Midnight and I were just giving each other a bunch of crap in the comment section. I'm like, well, screw it. I haven't put a video out this week, and here we go.
And look where it has spiraled.
Hell, you got Travis P11 wants to introduce Pop-Tarts as pie now.
That's because Squibload put out a video.
That's horrible. It is not pie, man. Not pie. It's a dang science experiment that doesn't expire.
Wait, are we talking about the Twinkie?
Pop-Tarts. I mean, shit. Some of those ingredients, I think, are using poisons. I mean, the stuff is horrible. It's at a safe amount because it's such percent. But all in all, I mean, that stuff is crap. Get a toast-o strudel, people.
Hey, but some people can't afford a toaster strudel.
You know, I agree with
That's
Rob.
true, but if you're gonna do it right. Shit.
Toaster strudels are so much better because not only that, you get to choose, you know, if you want frosting on there or not, you know, how much frosting you want to put on there.
Get to control it.
You can write your name on it so the lady doesn't steal it.
His and
You know-
hers.
You know, if you put your name on it, she's going to eat that one first.
Probably.
Do a video on it tomorrow where you have 2 toaster strudels, one that has, you know, NYO and one that just doesn't have anything, and see which one she eats first.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Any excuse for a dang toaster strudel, I might actually do it.
Oh,
Good of the show.
it's got to be science here. Well, Burnaby, thank you again for stopping by, and be safe out there. So, yeah. Mr. Defense Dad, is there anything you want to discuss?
Oh, not really. I'll clarify, though. The reason I asked the question I asked earlier about the guns is not because I'm saying people need to run and go grab something. I got to looking at my collection here recently, and I'm like, you know, I don't own anything other than one rifle and a 22 pistol that I can, let alone, you know, carry to Colorado if I want to travel, or you know, on the odd chance he does get his gun plan passed. I'm like, I kind of just want to have a handgun that, you know, I think is going to be safe from those requirements. So I realized the lack of my own collection, so I was just trying to see what other people think they would purchase. If something you can go to the range, if that does happen, not have to worry if someone's watching you. They have to question if it's going to fall under the guidelines or not. So I chose a 1911. So
Now, wouldn't that be kind of being defeated, saying that he has won, and agreeing with the media saying that he has won, when I don't think he, like, most of the people in the 2A community don't believe that he has won at all.
Oh, I don't either. To me, it's like we all like to buy guns, and like, well, if you're going to buy a gun, what gun would you buy just in case? So that's one gun you absolutely wouldn't have to worry about in your collection if worst case crap happened, and you could shoot that all day long if you wanted to. That was my whole point with the and that's why I bought what I bought today.
That's pretty. I don't know if
I don't think there's anything wrong with that type of thinking if it's fit in a niche that you don't have, and it's something you may have thought about getting anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at every handgun I had, and I'm like, the only one that I have that technically is designed to carry less than 10 rounds, or 10 or less, was my grandpa's Ruger Mark I. Everything else, at the very least, I'd have to buy new mags for or something. And I'm like, well, screw it. I got the money. Let's buy something just to have that I think will fit that niche. Now, and you were asking if anybody had Top Music earlier, so I'm like, well, hell, this is a gun show. Let's see what people would buy.
Yep. You know,
Now, something that could fit into that niche, I'm not sure how it falls, is like an SKS. You know, doesn't have a detachable mag, doesn't have the collapsible stock or a grip. So, you know, all these people running out buying, you know, ARs or something, well, maybe an SKS is a good buy for you right now. And the ammo's cheap, and it's a little more available.
yeah, I think the only thing that I have that wouldn't exceed the 10 rounds is like a couple revolvers.
Yeah, and see, I don't have a revolver yet either, and I was like, okay, do I want a revolver or do I want a 1911?
See,
I like the revolver better than the 1911 myself. I don't know. I'm not in love with my 1911. I enjoy the shooting my 686 more. But yeah, they're both good options, and revolver is always going to be safe because then you don't have to worry about them dropping it down to say 6 round magazines and stuff. Because they're not going to stop at they're not going to stop at 10. Like look at what was it? Was it New Jersey that wanted to go to 5 or something? It's like it's never enough for them. Once they can get a toe hold, they're gonna keep twisting until they get it all. So
Yeah.
Clover Tech has jumped in and said that revolver over 1911. So, Clover is saying that you made the wrong choice, that you should have bought the revolver and not the 1911.
which 1911 did you end up buying?
Not a very expensive. It was a Rock On Armory. It's their step above the GI.
Okay.
So it's got the ambi safety, the skeletonized trigger and hammer, the adjustable trigger.
Is that
And
the
it was like, I got it for
or-
$475. So I mean, it wasn't.
No, that's good. That's actually a good price because a lot of people, the GI model, you see places looking for like $450 for that. So,
Yep, exactly.
I support your purchase. Personally, I'd take the 1911. So, not only just, because of the history of the 1911 in a sense, but just due to the trigger. I'm not a personal fan of revolver triggers. I know everybody says, it's not an issue, whatever. I've shot so many semi-automatics versus revolvers that to me, I'm just not a fan of the heavier trigger there. I know, there's different revolvers, things like that, but the last one I had hands on was Ruger LCR, I think it is.
I hate that trigger.
And my goodness, my lady needed 2 fingers to try to pull it, and to me that's a problem. 1911, she could shoot that all day long. Myself, I try to look at things that are kind of universal. I know I'm not buying a gun for her use, but there's a good chance if anything comes up, there could be an altercation, which will hopefully start off without firearms being involved. And if anything gets out of hand, a gun gets out of my control, whatever the case may be, it's nice to be able to have somebody to be able to back you up if need be or whatever, or use it, in an emergency. But so I support the 1911 personally. I think I owned one that was actually my first handgun that I owned was a 1911, and I regret it to this day that I traded it in. And I'd be almost ashamed at this point to say I traded it in for my shield, but I do love my shield. But what an idiot, right? But I was new, so that's how it goes.
Like, my wife has shot the judge that I have, and she was able to do it with one, using a single finger. So, but again, I would never think that would be the first handgun or weapon that she would go for if shit hits the fan kind of situation. If she had to defend herself at home and I wasn't home, or if her and I were at a store, neither one of us is going to have, probably one of the judge on us. So that one's more of, it's kind of a safe queen, if you want to call it that. It's kind of one of those gimmick ones that I got it because, well, come on, it's a handgun that shoots shotgun shells. Why wouldn't you have it?
Novelty gun. You got it for the cool factor.
I did.
Fine. If you got it like that, that's fine. At least you're honest enough to admit it. But yeah, certain things, like I could say the 1911. I carried it, but let me tell you, it wasn't the most comfortable thing. Can it be done? Sure, but is it the most comfortable thing? No, especially driving. But yeah, you live and learn, I guess. But still, a beautiful gun. I wish I didn't get rid of it. But
So, with all of us that are on the panel, how many of us have actually used chest rigs or, shoulder harnesses?
What, a bra?
Bro,
Man's
No.
ear.
For, like carrying your holster,
like Miami Vice.
yeah, kind of like, or like your old detective style.
I have
okay,
not.
So, shoulder, yeah. No, I never even thought of that. The only thing I thought of at one time was ankle carry, and I don't recommend it.
Might consider it if I was in a suit 24/7. I think it, every form of carry has its pros and cons, depending on what you're doing, especially if you're doing a lot of driving or something like that. It might be an advantage. Yeah. So, I don't know. But overall, I don't own one, and not necessarily a fan myself. So everybody's got different styles of clothing and activities. So.
Yeah, the only reason I would use a chest rig if I had one was if I did a lot of motorcycle riding, backwoods riding, mountain riding, stuff like that, because that keeps it a gun accessible. But other than that, I don't really have any reason for either shoulder holster or chest rig. I'm not against it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just say I personally wouldn't use one, but I'm really, like I told people, I'm really warm blooded. So there's very few times I guarantee I'm going to leave my cover garment on. So because of that, I lean towards an inside the waistband and something that's tuckable, because when I'm carrying, I'm usually either wearing dress pants or jeans and a shirt I got to tuck in. I just get too damn hot, and I don't want to get someplace where I can't conceal my gun because of what I'm wearing, because I wanted to take off and be comfortable.
See, I don't know. I've never really thought about, having a chest rig or, your shoulder holsters. I've never actually looked at that as a viable option. But here lately, seeing more and more people, doing reviews on your, chest rigs, like the alien gear that Clover did, or, some, Carolina EDC has done a couple of them and stuff. And it's like, thinking about, okay, well, I drive a half hour each way to work, and so normally I'll remove the firearm and I'll put it like in the center console or in the door, or something like that, so that it's a little more comfortable when you're driving for long distances.
Well, yeah, I get that. You're a big guy like me, so I guess it's not all that comfortable. I don't remove it, but I also generally have a kid in the car, so I want it secured. And here, let's be honest, like a lot of people are reviewing chest rigs now. I'm not saying Clover did or anybody in particular, but it's hard to find stuff right now. So people they're reviewing different stuff than they normally would be, so they can have something to make a video about too.
Yeah,
partly.
But then, like
I can't afford to buy a gun every month. Damn,
it kind of relates to off-carry body G23 there, in a sense where you're removing it from yourself into your vehicle. In my opinion, kind of relates to off-carry body, where in a sense where you could get into a situation quick or roll up on something where you get out, you come home and your wife's getting beat on in the back of the driveway, and now you're like, oh crap, I need my gun. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think, granted, it's looking at different it's probably not likely or high risk, but I think you're less prepared. To me, that's like wearing sandals while you're driving around town. If anything serious happens, your kid's teacher, somebody you're friends with, house is on fire, whatever the heck comes up, you're at a disadvantage. You're just, you're behind the game, and it's always better to be ahead of the game than behind the game. If you're a type person that carries, in my opinion. Or it could be a car accident or something like that as well. Or it just might slip your mind at the gas station and the little punk around the corner runs in and steals the gun. You know what I mean? Things happen. So I think, if you're going to have a firearm on you and out and about, it's your damn responsibility to know for a fact that it's covered. So taking it off your body gets sketchy to me. But that's just me, I think, if you could find a way to keep it on you just in case. I mean, for all you know, you're just sitting there messing on the radio, and the next thing you know, some jacked up guy is trying to rip you out of your car. I mean, can you grab it quick? Is it facing the right direction? Did you, holster mount in your car? Will the guy see you reaching for it? I don't know. Granted, I'm sure you don't drive in places like that every day, but, I've been shocked and turned onto a street and had people run up and try to open my doors a few times. New Jersey, a couple times in New Jersey. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to happen, but it happened. So, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, I've had a gun pulled on me after when I was a kid, drag racing. So,
yep,
make you think. For stupid, I won, and it was a street race, and they were pissed off, so they decided to point a gun at me. I'm like, well, okay, but yeah, I mean, you got to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm guessing like G23. Like again, you're a big guy like me. So like sometimes, like me, especially where I'm left-handed, I'd kind of like to be able to do something like that because I carry my left side, so it's also pressed up against the door. So sometimes I carry right-handed because of that reason.
See, and I have both left-handed and right-handed holsters because I'm ambidextrous. I can switch, but like where I carry on my right is right where your seatbelt fastens.
Right.
And so, unless I go and switch to I always carry a level 2 holster, so you have that, release that you have to hit to be able to pull your firearm out, and it's always a thumb release. So to try getting your hand in the right position, hit that thumb release, and go around that seat belt, is kind of,
Well, and for me, just for comfort, I carry with for my holster of choice is going to be some sort of hybrid pancake where it's got a leather sweat guard and a Kydex outside, and those tend to be a lot more comfortable. If I'm outside the waistband carrying though, I carry in a Safariland with a level 2.
I'm curious why you carry a level 2 where you got G23 there. Just out of curiosity. I mean,
me or G23?
Yeah,
I carry level 2 because I've been in areas where you could easily end up in a hand-to-hand situation, and if you get knocked to the ground, or it ends up you have a couple different people going on at you, it's going to be a little harder for them to take your firearm from you. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be at least a tiny bit harder for them, especially when you have that level 2, and if you're running the thumb release instead of having like a Safariland where they put the release out on the front.
Mm-hmm.
Mine has a thumb release.
I get where you're going with it in a sense. I'm just wondering,
And I do a lot of open
no
carry.
offense or anything, but are you the kind of guy that's gonna go, 5-6 rounds with somebody like that? And and on top of that, if you do get jumped, like you come around a corner and there's a bunch of people that catch you by surprise, one of them clocks you in the head while somebody's asking you a question, and you are shocked and taken in, people trying to take advantage. Do you really want to take the time to screw around with it to try to get it out while you got 4 people kicking at you? I mean, I don't know. I guess there's just 2 ways of looking at it in a sense. I would think it, quicker for you is better because the odds of you being physical probably aren't too high. Not stating that, you couldn't do anything or not going to get physical, but I'm just stating, it seems, I don't know, less likely in my opinion, in a sense.
I used to
maybe,
fight.
Maybe not. I don't know. And maybe you have a different level of that I'm giving you credit for of defense that I'm not aware. I don't know. So it just seems like the average guy in that situation would probably want best access possible because if you're getting stomped to shit, they're going to get it anyway. So so you're only really hurting yourself at that point, in my opinion.
Me personally, I do it for a couple reasons. So number one, if I'm carrying outside the waistband, it's going to be a larger gun because pretty much the only place I do that is at a range where I shoot with another shooting team, and they require a strong sight holster. If I'm going to buy one, I just figured I'd buy one that has the retention, and mine's real easy. It's the thumb release. As you put your hand on the gun, your thumb's there, so it just takes it out.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it for certain situations or certain people. I mean, especially for dealing with kids or something like that. A lot of things, obviously it could be an issue, but the average guy that's just spending, going to the grocery store, going to work, isn't going to the most horrible parts of town and all this, and isn't a typical athlete fighter or something. I don't see that they're just gonna,
See,
too much hands-on is going to really take place before you would have to draw your gun to be able to retain it before you got your ass knocked out. And I mean, that could go for me too. You know what I mean? So it's not just, you know what I mean? You got to be realistic.
I used to do a lot of process serving and serving of court papers. And so,
evictions.
A lot of evictions, and try evicting a single parent at Christmas time.
Well, I've been there several times. Yeah, or the racist people, or whatever the case is. Yeah, it gets hairy. But in a sense, at the same time, if a gun came up, you're gonna pull it to use it, not to threaten. So I'd want quicker access myself, but that's just me. But again, I conceal carrying, so they're not looking at my gun as an option at that point either.
See, and I do a lot of open carry because one, our society has kind of has gone to a super frowning on like the open carry aspect, and it's not really the norm. And so, letting people see that, you can do your everyday life and still have a firearm on you, and that you're not out there just trying to cause a problem because you have a firearm on you, is kind of the way I look at it. And so in every state that I have lived in has allowed open carry, without having to have permits. I grew up in Washington where open carry is completely legal. Here in Oregon, open carry is legal except in certain areas where you have to have a license to have any ammo in your firearm. And, the likelihood that if you would to go into one of those areas open carrying, law enforcement's going to check your firearm is very slim, but it's there, so you still comply.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. We don't have open carry here, and to serve an eviction, I'd never get them to answer the door if we did, because then they'd most likely just assume I'm an officer, and the easiest way to deal with a detective is not to be home. So that's just the way it is around here. So same thing with the if they know you're serving an eviction. So I personally don't want to have to drive to their house 3 times before I could, submit the paperwork stating I did so and have to mark. I'd rather just catch them because I'm guaranteed payment, and it's not an issue. So, you don't go there looking like the guy bringing papers, and it's usually a lot easier. It's just a little bit of,
I would go
perception on who you actually are. But I've had great results. I mean, you call the girlfriend's name out, the dude is going to answer the phone or answer the door. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but either way, most of them aren't happy, but half of them are happy. They're just waiting for the eviction so they can go down to social services and get their rent paid for free. And then they'll see you in another 3 months. I've had kids, oh yeah, she's right out back, come on in. And then the mom's, trying to kick it to me or something. I'm like, it's a normal thing. So it's like, no, there's a lot of people, they got a brand new car, but they ain't paying their damn rent. So they're just playing the game is what they're doing. So
I'll tell you this, I wish I would have carried back in the days when I used to have to go repossess cars.
Yeah. I guys see that old show, or not old show, that Lizard, or what the heck is it? It was a repo show, something called Lizard in the name of it. Man, that shit looked fun. Like I'd have to get in on something like that. It looked like a good time.
What was it,
It looked
Lizard?
risky, but it looked like you had some good stories after work. You did a lot more than sit on your ass all day.
Yeah, but again, depending upon your states and stuff, when you're doing like repos, that falls under a whole different situation because you end up falling under the DOT guidelines. And
I don't know much about that, but it'd be fun to legally steal shit back from people that didn't want to pay the bill. So sorry, that might be a bad side of me, but I think it would be fun.
Well, so when I had to do it, I was also the salesman, right? So if it got to the point, our owner would send salespeople to go repossess the cars, and we didn't have tow trucks. We literally had to go up to the apartments and demand the keys. And I went to a lot of places where there was a whole lot of people living in a small house, and you're repossessing a Suburban from a family of 8, and it's their only way to get around, and you got heated sometimes.
I bet.
But I worked for an old school car dealerships as well. They're like, all right, you get the car back, or we're taking your commission back this month. Yeah,
nowadays they just cut another set of keys and pick it up at the convenience, or have an OnStar kill it somewhere, and then the other person will end up walking, whatever, and then you come pick the car up. You don't even need a tow truck in most cases.
Yeah, this was back in the mid to late 90s, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one damn thing off the subject. These freaking Philippine car. I just spent the last 30 minutes getting all the grease off this damn thing.
But yeah.
One thing with the repo job is the stuff that you would find in the car would probably amaze you. I remember I worked at a dealership, and occasionally you'd get one in, and the salespeople looking in the trunk trying to see what they can scavenge, and what they leave in there is fair game, I guess.
Oh, you ought to see what gets left in trade-ins, man.
Yeah, they'll take everything. Car seat, your computer that's in the back, whatever the case is. It's amazing. I know a guy that was so stupid. A bunch of us were in the 4-wheelers. This guy couldn't afford one at the time. So what's he do? He takes a credit line, but doesn't have great credit. So he puts his 4x4 truck up as collateral and gets a 4-wheeler. And then ended up having issues at work and whatnot, and lost his 4-wheeler, his trailer, his SUV full of camping supplies and everything. And so, of course, his wife got pissed and left him. And basically, he lost pretty much everything he owned. It was a pretty sad deal.
So We've been joined out in the chat by Weston Probes and Mr. Agorizer. So welcome, guys. Yeah. But, like, I used to be one of the not so nice people and was not the person I am today. So I kind of understand how some of the criminals think.
Yep.
So I see we're joined out in the crowd by John Lowell. Welcome.
Damn it, cat.
The cat's just trying to help you clean the gun.
He's trying to eat the dirty Q-tips and the swatches I have on there.
Oh, but I'm about out of topics. Anyone else have any topics they want to discuss, or we want to roll this up and call it a curtain?
I'm out.
Rob, you got anything?
Not off the top of my head. I probably rambled on enough tonight to make everybody hate me. So, I think I've done enough. Thank you, though.
Mr. Two Gun Kenny, you got a topic or anything?
No, I think we covered a lot tonight, and maybe next week we can all be a little bit more upbeat. Hopefully, we'll get some better news as the week unravels and unfolds.
Yep. Mr. Foss, do you have any topic or anything you want to discuss before we close up shop?
I don't think so. Just be sure and tip your waitress. We'll say with the shoulder holsters. I did see a guy last year open carrying with the shoulder holster. Yeah, at Cabela's. He had 1911.
Mm-hmm. So, let's start with Mr. Two Gun Kitty. You want to give your closing plug anything new coming about?
Well, I'm approaching 100 subscribers, so I'm looking forward to that milestone. I just put out a couple of videos today, and hopefully we'll get a couple more done tomorrow, and just kind of, putting out some real raw content and just giving my honest thoughts. So if you get a chance, check out my channel. I appreciate the opportunity to be on talking with everyone.
Thank you, and hopefully we can get you up over the 100 mark. That'd be great. I know I'm pressing, getting ready to hit the 200 channel friends, so that will be great when I break that mark. Mr. Defense Dad, you got anything going on?
Nope. Thanks for having me on. I just had fun tonight and just kind of fun to chat. I don't know anything else going on.
Well, thank you again for jumping on and throwing in your 2 cents. Mr. DM Foss, you want to throw out your channel plugs?
Well, if you're not subscribed to Kingpin's channel, he was in here earlier. I think he's busy doing something right now. But I put out a link for his channel. Check him out. He does a lot for a lot of channels and never asks for anything in return. And check out anybody who's been on the panel. I threw in links a little bit earlier. So if you scroll back up, you can find everybody's links. Check them out, or check out anybody who's out there chatting away. Find something new or start a channel yourself. You never know. Somebody might want to hear what you have to say.
Exactly. Thank you again for being on here. And Mr. Rob D, the New York Outcast. You got any videos coming out? Anything you want to plug?
Nothing right off the top of my head anyway, or nothing with videos. So I just state, if you're gonna tip your waiter, waitress, make sure you get consent first, depending on your version of tipping. And other than that, thanks for joining us. So sorry I carried on a little bit tonight. My apologies. Other than that, I thought the first segment, part A, I think worked out great, and hopefully you continue on with future guests like that. So I wish you good luck.
Well, thank you, and thank you for being a part of both part A and part B. That was pretty fun, and the first time I've done the interviewing process on the channel, so I think it went pretty good. And I will be doing a video probably here in the next few days discussing what we're going to do for the Olight giveaway, and how everyone will be able to enter into that. So stay tuned for that, and thank everybody who's been on the panel and who's also been out in the crowd chatting away, and hope to see you guys next Saturday evening. And have a good evening.
Bye-bye.